Hi, this is Lorraine.
And Jennifer.
And this morning, I want to talk a little bit about pricing lessons from Goldilocks.
I always love your intros. They're the best.
You know what? I am nothing if I'm not good for a metaphor.
There you go.
But okay, so in the story of Goldilocks and the Three Bears, everybody knows that one porridge was too hot and one porridge was too cold, but then there was one in the middle that was just right.
Mhm.
And there are lessons for business owners in that story.
Yes, there very much is. And I think it's pricing structure we're going to talk about.
We are, and we're going to talk about a very specific kind of pricing, and it's called decoy pricing. And what you're doing with that is you're putting a price there that you know no one is going to pay, but somebody might. But there's all this research that shows that if you have two items for sale, people will gravitate towards the lowest price.
Yeah,
But
it's
if you add
psychology
a
101.
yeah, but if you add a third one that's significantly higher, it's your decoy. It's the venti at Starbucks. Nobody really needs that much coffee, right? Everybody goes for the grande. Why? Because the grande isn't that much more than the tall.
Price
You
wise.
price wise, so you feel like you're getting a good deal,
Yeah,
and it's not as expensive as that ridiculous venti. And
yeah.
so what happens is you start where you maybe would sell 90% low end, 10% high. When you add that artificial, that decoy up top,
Yeah.
most of your sales move. And so I think that's something that business owners in general need to think about.
Yeah, it comes into play. You see it a lot with software sales,
Mhm.
where you'll see three different options, and then you'll even see where they'll make like the one in the middle like stand out design wise, and so your
Mhm.
eye just kind of like gravitates towards that. I think you also see it where maybe you're putting together like proposals or sales where it's like a lead generation and you're proposing there. Or I'm trying to think of some, maybe like if you're in the service industry and you're quoting like somebody for a particular project and you tell them, okay, well, here's the Ferrari, here's the reliable Ford, and then I can't even think of a car for the in between, but
But you're absolutely right. This strategy works across the board. And all too often, I think that people go into a sales conversation with a take it or leave it price. Well, my price is X.
yeah,
And if you don't want it, well, that's fine. We won't do business. Rather than really thinking about, can I offer options? One of the challenges I used to run into on web design was people I would offer X, and then people would be like, "Well, I don't really want this and I don't really want this, so can you take it out?" And I would, and then they were like, "Well, but the website isn't working right." Well, that's because you made me take this out and this out. So I stopped doing that. So I took away my bottom, but then I went, "You know what? There are some people that want more."
yeah, it's the art of negotiation. Whenever you start a negotiation, you're usually starting way higher than you think you can actually get.
Mhm.
And then, there's that negotiation working down where you eventually say yes. Well, the same thing happens in a sales scenario where, they're almost going to say no to the very first thing you throw out, or you don't expect them to.
Mhm.
Sometimes they do, and you're like, okay, great.
Well, I had one situation, and I think this is another really important lesson is that sometimes you need to let the customers talk. I was having this conversation with this client, and it was for a website and branding. And in my mind, I went, it's a $6,500, $7,500 package. That's where this is going to be. But instead of saying that, I was like, well, tell me, do you have a budget?
Yeah.
and the customer said, "We're hoping to keep it under $10,000."
Yeah. So you would have made a mistake there had you not asked for the budget. Um,
Absolutely.
I,
Yeah, I was gonna say, a lot of times people just go, "No, I don't have a budget," and then you have to have another way to kinda get to it.
yeah. Well, and I was going to say, I think the other mistake people might make is assuming somebody can't afford
Mhm,
something. And so you prejudge them, and
mhm,
you might have, just thought that that's what it was worth. But like in the other instance, you're actually saying, well, I think, their budget is only 6,500 because I think that's all they can afford.
mhm,
And by they actually can afford a lot more. So I think in that instance, you really need to sell the Ferrari because it's what they need.
mhm.
And Ferrari is probably a bad thing because I don't know how many people need a Ferrari. Um,
Now, but you need to not sell them a Kia.
yeah, yeah.
You know
Don't judge a book by its cover. Like if you think they need all of this, then sell them all of that. And if they end up saying, that's not my budget, and they get this, you're not going to be in trouble later because you didn't recommend what they actually needed.
Absolutely. And this works in all sorts of businesses. I came out of the heating and air conditioning industry, and we had multiple products that we would offer. And we would always talk to the contractors about before you quote, find out what's really important. Find out how long they're going to live in the house. If they tell you they're putting it up for sale next year, they're not going to go for a Cadillac. If
Yeah,
they tell you they just bought this and it's their forever home,
yeah,
then talk about the bells and whistles and see where they are. And I have been amazed time and time and time again at how much more money you can make. And you're not ripping people off, but it makes the pricing conversations so much easier when you offer, well, I could do a 2,500 or a 5,000. Where do you think it needs to be? And, what were you hoping to spend? And now you get a sense of, okay, I can kind of see where they are. What kind of results are you looking for? Well, if you want that kind of results in that amount of time, it ain't going to be a buck 50.
yeah, yeah. No, there's a lot of really good lessons in there that you threw in time. So if you're in a scenario where you're selling something that you could, kind of spread it out and do less, but still like accomplish the same things in, let's say, 2 years,
Mhm.
is, well, I need to like get results like in 3 months, like you would price that different.
Absolutely. I always talk about that as, um, you know, if I want to lift weights, how much weight is going to impact how many muscles I use? I want to lift a pencil, I can do it with my fingers.
Yeah.
A 5-pound weight, pop that up, I'm going to use my hand and a couple of muscles. 25-pound weight, I'm going to engage everything. 50-pound weight, I'm going to call somebody.
Well, you could put that weight loss. I want to lose weight by spring break would be one plan. I
Mhm.
want to lose weight by the summer would be like a different plan.
Absolutely. Or the student who you're like, look, here's the whole course. Read the book 1 chapter a week, or read all 10 chapters before the exam. Your choice. You're going to process all the same information, may not have the same results.
Yeah, I just think as business owners, you got to think about your pricing structure. Um, and I think also maybe environmental factors can come in. So sometimes, things are a little bit harder. And so you might need to adjust your pricing because people just don't have the money.
Well, and what I would always look at is, if I'm going to adjust my pricing, is there an adjustment that I make in my service? Don't just, it's okay to discount for a limited period of time. We would do this. We had a certain number of projects we wanted every month.
Yeah,
If I'm going to tell you, if we hit that number, the very next quote, the price went up.
yeah,
And if somebody really wanted to work with us, they'd pay that higher price. if I was short and I'm looking at the end of the month, I might adjust temporarily.
Yeah.
And be giving yourself the ability to be a little bit flexible. But for the most part, if I was going to charge a lower price, I was going to take something out of the project.
But in service industry, sometimes you might do an offer
Mm-hmm.
because business is not real good, and so you have an offer to try to stimulate some additional. That's changing your pricing structure for that reason too.
Yeah, but that's a temporary, and that may, like very much. I need a fourth project this month. I sold three at this price. I want that fourth project. I'm going to drop my price.
Yeah.
I've sold four projects. I don't really need a fifth. I'm going to raise my price. And having that, using pricing as a strategic tool makes a ton of sense and will change your profitability.
Yeah. And not just pricing yourself just based on what the competitors are doing.
Because you are not your competitors. All right. If you want to explore pricing strategies in more detail, if you want to see examples of pricing strategy and how that can be used in your business, give us a call. We'd love to chat with you.
All right. Take care.
Bye now.